Hi, good afternoon, guys. This is Resham, and I'm here on behalf of JobsForHer to help you all know how can you all ace your interviews. So let's quickly first get on with the basics and let me introduce myself to you. My name is Resham. I am the Vice President, Business Development and HR for English for India. I have close to 10 plus years of experience in the field of HR, and I have worked with retail, I have worked with education, I have worked with fitness, and I have interviewed more than 20,000 people over the last 10 plus years that I've worked. So I have a couple of tips that I would like to give you all on how important it is to ace an interview. Why is it important to ace an interview? It's not just landing up in the right job, but it is also being a good fit with the right company, with the culture of the organization, with the colleagues, with the employees with whom you work. So, before we get started on, and let's not get into the details of why is it important to ace. Let's look at how can you actually ace an interview. First things first, I think first impressions last. It's extremely important to ensure that when you go for an interview, the way you dress up, the way you carry yourself, all of those things make a lot of difference because people judge you. People judge you not only on the clothes that you wear, they also judge you based on how you look, how you smell, how you carry yourself, how you walk. All those things matter. So be very careful on the kind of clothes that you wear. If so, how do you know what to wear for an interview? You have to research about the company. You have to understand what sort of organization are you getting into. You will get a pulse of their culture based on how their website is, how the managers are, how the colleagues are. So if you believe they're more Western, then dress in Western formals. If you believe that they have a set ethnicity which they consider, then you are okay wearing Indian clothes. So that's one. Second thing that you have to do is you have to research about the role that you are applying for, because yes, you have worked in a particular role, you have a certain skill set, but that might not necessarily match with what the company is expecting, because at most times when you go for an interview, they are looking at how can you add on to what is already there in the system. So there might be a couple of people who say have worked on certain IT based skills, but for the projects for which they are actually being hired, they might have to acquire new skills. Understand what are the new skills that you would want to acquire for a particular job, because it's not just about your current skill set, it is also about what is it that you can learn and grow with the company. Most organizations, that's what they look for when they interview a person. They don't only ask technical questions, they also ask behavioral based questions. Now, the reason they ask behavioral based questions is because they want to understand if the person is able to adapt, if the person will fit into the culture, if the person can, commit 100% towards their job. Those are all the things that an interviewer actually assesses a candidate on. Now, there are certain preparations that you have to do while you're giving it before going for an interview. There are certain common questions which interviewers ask. Now, why do they ask those questions? They ask those questions because they want to understand if you have the confidence. So, confidence is the major thing that you have to keep in mind while you're giving an interview. You might be scared, but it's how you project yourself, because they kind of test whether you crumble under pressure. That's the first step. So confidence is a big key. Now you might get interviewed by different people. There will always be a recruiter. There will be a technical person taking an interview. There will be senior managers who will be taking an interview. So depending on whom you're giving an interview with, you have to ensure that you maintain that confidence, but at the same time do not bluff. People who interview, they understand whether you're bluffing or whether you're just um, putting in things which you do not know. So my golden rule is, do not lie. If you do not know something, if there is a certain skill set that you do not have, technical skill set that you do not have, at least possess the confidence of accepting you do not know it, but you're willing to learn. That is more respected than saying, yes, I know, and eventually getting your dream job, but eventually they get to know that you've bluffed it. And that's where you lose your face in front of your colleagues, in front of your employees, in front of your manager. Because remember, the same manager you would be dealing with, this is the same manager whom you would be reporting to. He should not have a negative perception about you, because he's going to always rely on the interview that he has taken. And so that's one thing that you have to always remember. Do not bluff through an interview. Accept that you do not have a technical skill set and say that I'm willing to learn. Now, while giving an interview, there are a couple of questions that are always asked in any interview. Maybe not at a recruitment, maybe not at the initial level, but say in your second round, third round, final round, there are these certain questions that you have to prepare for before you go for an interview. So let's quickly look at those questions, and then I'll take up the questions which come on the groups for the jobs for her website. So the first thing that you have to kind of keep in mind is knowing what is your weakness. Now that is the most common question which people ask. That is, what is your weakness? You have to project your weakness, which in turn becomes your strength. Yeah, so when I say that, what do I mean? I mean to say that, say you have a restriction of not staying back late because as a mother, you have kids, you have a priority at home. So say, yes, my weakness is my family. I ensure to give family time as well as it should not affect my work. So I try to balance those things out. Now, that is a negative weakness, but you put it across positively. And that's what matters. That's what the interview looks for. That how can someone take their weakness and project it in a positive light? So that's the first thing you have to keep in mind. The second thing that you have to keep in mind is a question that is, have you been challenged in your current role? Now, why do recruiters ask those kind of questions, whether you have been challenged? That's because they want to know what is your definition of challenge. So if you say, oh, my challenge is that, I'm asked to stay back late every day at work, I have to stay back to finish my reports, that just shows that you're cribbing about putting in that extra effort. Now, I agree for a fact that you should not stay back late. Personally, I am dead against it. I do not like my colleagues and my team staying back late. But that just shows you haven't planned your day well. So your challenges should be more work-related challenges. And how do you tackle those challenges? See, most people who go for an interview say, oh, this was a challenge, this was a challenge, this was a challenge. But how did you tackle that challenge? How did you overcome that challenge? That shows your skill set. That shows that if a particular problem is thrown at you, how do you shine up? How do you come out of that problem with a solution? Today, most companies look at solutions. They want people to give them solutions because they already have a whole lot of challenges that they face at work. They face challenges with clients, they face challenges with projects. As an employee or as a candidate who wants to join, how would you ensure that this challenge which they face, you can provide a solution? So that is what you have to look at, right? Now, the third thing is a very common question which I think everyone is asked, why should I hire you? Now, this is an important question because in an interviewer's mind, they just are testing your confidence and how confident are you about your skills, your ability to deliver, which is why Again, that's not like a defining interviewer question as to whether they will hire you or they will not hire you based on the words that you speak. It is the confidence with which you tell them that yes, this is the reason why you should hire me. So these are a couple of questions which you have to always keep in mind, and you have to prepare for these questions before you go for any interview, irrespective of which round. Now, there were a couple of things that I asked you to keep in mind. One is the clothes that you wear. One is the way you carry yourself. But it is also important for you to research about not only the company but also the role which you are applying for. What does the role demand? Does it demand you to travel, leaving your city? Does it demand long hours? Are there any international clients who are, who are there on the project for which you have to work as per their time zone? These are a few things that you have to research well in advance, because it's important to know how would you balance your professional life and your family life. So I always tell anyone who comes for an interview that, do you know what this project is all about? Do you know what skill sets do you require? Because at the end of the day, I think changing jobs or applying for a job is because you want to grow in your career. So it's very important for you to understand what is it that is expected of you so that you can deliver better. Now, having said that, there are a lot of candidates who ask questions, but again, there are sensible questions, and there are questions which can be asked once you have an offer on the table. In your first interview round, avoid asking questions like, uh, how many sick leaves do you have? What is your paid leave structure? Ask relevant questions in the sense, uh, if you feel that you cannot work on Saturdays, or if the job demands you to stay back late and you cannot do it, understand that aspect first. Understand as an organization or as a position, whatever role that you're applying for, what is it that they want from the person? Now, when I say what do they want, they would have obviously mentioned a set of technical questions or essentially compulsory skills that a person would require. Say they want a graduate. So if it's a finance-based job, typically they ask for BCom or Tally or some ERP sort of knowledge. But understand not just the technical aspect. Understand as a person from a behavioral aspect. What is it that they're expecting from you? Are you supposed to be extremely dynamic in your communication with your from employees from other departments? Are you supposed to be reserved? What is the sort of interaction that this person or this role is expected to perform? Now, why does this help? Because you get to know who are you communicating with. Maybe in your previous role, you were not very comfortable interacting with the senior managers, or you were not very comfortable interacting with the board of directors, which is probably why you're looking out for a job change, because somewhere you feel there's too much of pressure which they are putting on you. So if this job demands exactly the same level of interaction, then eventually you would not really be happy with the job switch, right? So understand what is that interaction that is required. Second, try to understand the company culture. Do they encourage late sitting? Is it a culture where it's extremely rigid and people are not allowed to interact with other departments? There is a very strict hierarchy that they have to follow. That if you are at an executive level, they do not like it if you interact with, say, the manager directly. They would want you to follow a certain hierarchy if for escalating problems. So understand that work culture. That becomes very important, because if your personality is such that you can just walk up and approach anyone just to find a solution, that might not be very helpful in an organization which is very rigid. So understand what is the company's culture, what is it that they follow. Now, how do you get these questions? How do you get answers to these questions? One is you ask your interviewer. But if you cannot ask your interviewer, there are multiple websites which give you insights about what is the company culture. So there, if you just kind of Google company reviews, you will get multiple websites which give you this information. What happens when you get this information? You can actually process it and understand whether this company's culture is in sync with your values, with what is it that you believe in. Those are the things that you have to keep in mind in order to ace an interview. Yeah, so I'll quickly just check what are the questions that we have here, and I should quickly get to answering them. Just give me a second. Yes, so we have a question from Prachi Jain. So Prachi Jain asks, I want to apply for interviews in a new domain, which is digital marketing. I have been into ops, which is operations. Can you please suggest how should I prepare? Great, good question, Prachi. So to answer your question, digital marketing, understand what is digital marketing all about. Most companies have an apprehension that if someone is in operations, they prefer not hiring that person in digital marketing. So if your current company gives you that scope of learning what is digital marketing, please go ahead and learn. Second, there are a lot of websites which guide you on digital marketing. They are quick, short courses which you should look at, because digital marketing is understanding certain keywords which help in SEOs, which help in upping the traffic on their website. So the entire concept of digital marketing is how do you attract more users, how do you ensure that the interaction is there on social media such that you get more traffic and people are more aware about your brand. Now that is a very different level of exposure as compared to operations, where you're handling Excel sheets, where you're interacting with people, trying to resolve operational problems. So first, my suggestion to you is pick up quick short courses that you would be able to do on digital marketing. You've got JobStreet, you've got Udemy, you've got multiple websites. Coursera is there. There are multiple websites which help you learn about digital marketing. Go ahead, study about it, and then try picking up some part-time assignments on digital marketing to see if it actually interests you, and then go all out and apply for the entry-level job which will help you grow and understand digital marketing from scratch. So yes, that's my advice to you. Let's look at the second question. How to discuss about career gap and salary negotiation in interviews. Yes, so I'll look at career gap first. Uh, Women in general take career gaps for a lot of reasons. There is marriage, there is say if you're the only child, and say unfortunately your parents are unwell or you're undergoing some sort of treatment, then you have to take medical emergency leaves, and if the company doesn't grant you leave, then you kind of obviously place family over your job. So that can be another reason. It can be a maternity break, say where you're pregnant and you've delivered a child, but you do not have any help, and 6 months period is already gone past. So I think you should just be very honest in the first round of interview and say, look, I've taken a gap, but there was a genuine reason behind it. This is why I've taken a gap. Now that everything is set, I can, pick up a full-time job. So my take on this is elaborate on how your condition at home is now fixed, which allows you to work full time. Most interviewers have this apprehension: you have a small baby, who's going to look after it, you're going to keep taking leave. Now, of course, that's a little insensitive of them, because I think every child or every ailing parent or any situation at home which needs time is more important. Having said that, build that confidence, give the interviewer that confidence that yes, you can manage, can manage your work and family in spite of taking a career break. That's one. Coming to salary negotiations, I don't know if it is a millennial thing or if it is still traditionally carried on, but people sometimes give extremely unrealistic salary expectations. So I've had people saying, "Ma'am, I'm earning 20,000, but I need 40,000." Which I think is extremely unrealistic. Let's agree the Indian market has not reached that stage of giving 200% hike, 100% hike. We do not give it as an organization. A lot of people judge or reject people because of salary negotiation. So my advice is understand what's the bracket, give a reasonable 20%, 15%, 10% hike, which would actually be what your appraisals generally take place like. So if that is the reason, if salary is the reason that you're making a switch, then I think you should not ask for more than 20% because that straight away leads to you getting rejected by the HR because they all have budgets which they have to follow. Having said that, I think you should talk more about what is the net increase rather than talking about CTC because cost to company covers a lot of things. It covers provident fund, it covers ESIC, gratuity, incentives, annual bonus, and I think eventually that expectation mismatch leads to unhappiness. So I think you should be very clear that in my bank account or my net I get say 20,000 and I would expect my bank account to get say at least a 24,000 or a 25,000 or say a 26,000. So then it's a more realistic conversation that you're having rather than randomly throwing numbers that, hey, I used to earn 2.4 lakh and now I'm looking at a 4.8 lakh. Those sort of unrealistic conversations result in people losing out a lot of opportunities. So yes, that's my advice, Prachi, to you. Let's look at another question. What does one do when confronted with irrelevant questions during an interview? Um, I recently gave, so this is Rutuja's question. I recently gave an interview at a company for a position in sales. I thought it went well and was sure I'll get a call back, but I haven't heard from them. Would it be all right for me to call and check? If they don't hire me, can I ask for reasons? So I'll answer the first question first, which is what does one do when confronted with irrelevant questions during an interview? I'm not sure what is irrelevant. Having said that, if it is not related to the position, understand why they're asking the question. And I think it's extremely important to just ask them straight up. So I've had people. This is in one of the interviews which I gave when I was way back when I was starting my career, and someone just asked me, "You are so fair, and how would you do this job?" And I really didn't understand how is my skin color gonna impact my job. So I actually asked the interviewer, "Could you explain to me how is my skin color going to impact my job?" And he didn't have an answer. Of course, I got selected for the interview. Different thing that I didn't accept the job because I really thought it was not fair of them to ask me about my skin color, which has no relevance with the sales job. So yes, I think if you have any irrelevant questions which is being asked, ask them to explain the logic behind it. It's as simple as that. And if they don't have a logic to explain, then ask them, why did you ask me this question? So don't get into a confrontation thing, but you just know that it's not going to be a good fit if the question is absolutely not relevant and it is extremely personal. So yes, that's to answer your question. Rituja also says, yes, I think it's okay to call. See, there might be multiple reasons why people get rejected. It need not always be an error of the candidate. Sometimes they get budget freezes. Suddenly, they realize that hey, they've not hit the sales for the month, or they've not hit the sales for the year, or they're going to face an issue. So, for those reasons, also abruptly they put positions on hold. Now, the HR at most times does not know how to respond. So the easiest way out is don't send any communication. But if you believe that the interview went well, then please pick up the phone or SMS or drop them an email and tell them, hey, I was hoping to hear from you. If you could let me know what's the position. I don't think they'll get offended by it. In fact, they'll be very happy to give you an answer. A lot of people do, typical to Indians, we do not like saying no, so they end up giving various reasons. But the point being, you should ask, and if you feel that the answer is not satisfactory, I don't think they're going to call you back. So just take that and move ahead and apply for more jobs. So yes, that's my answer for Rituja. I'll come to the next set of questions which are being asked. So we've got Hamida here who says, I heard you speaking about behavioral questions. Will you tell me a little more? Tell me about this. Okay, so behavioral questions are basically questions which tend to check on how do you react in various situations. So typically you must have seen interviewers throw in some very difficult questions which you really don't know how to answer. So that is just testing your behavior. Are you aggressive? Are you polite? Are you impatient? Are you how do you react to a certain situation? So these are all behavioral questions which actually have got nothing to do with the technical aspect. It's just testing your personality, getting to know whether you crack under pressure, whether you don't crack under pressure. So if you quickly Google behavioral questions, you will actually get a list of questions which you can actually prepare for before going for an interview. So those are what behavioral questions are all about. They just assess your behavior, how do you crack under pressure, how do you react, those are the things. So to give you an example of a behavioral question, in an interview, someone in the CV, people write their hobbies as reading. So I generally ask them, hey, your hobbies reading, what do you read? They'll be like, ma'am, I read The Last Patient, for example, which is a book by Alex, a brilliant thriller. Oh, great. So what did you understand about it? So what happens is when you keep throwing questions, the person who is giving the interview might get nervous and fumble if they are not confident, or if they have lied. That is, if they haven't read a book at all and they've just written it for the heck of it. When the interviewer asks rapid questions, that's when you get to know how their behavior is. How do they react? Do they crack under pressure? Are they able to keep their composed? Their composed. Do they say that, ma'am, I'm sorry, but I've forgotten. So that's what is known as behavioral questioning. Coming to your next question, which is how to answer, tell me about yourself in an interview. How do we tell about a weakness in an interview? I already answered that, Hamida. When you have a weakness, project it as your strength. Do not show it as a weakness. So if you cannot stay back late because you have a family, tell them, hey, my family is my strength. I ensure to give them time. I like to leave office on time. Having said that, I try multitasking during office hours so that I can manage multiple things without it impacting the quality of the work which I deliver. When you talk like that, they believe that yes, this girl does not, she knows what is her weakness, but she also knows how to manage it. Now, that is the most important aspect when you're giving an interview. Okay, so yes, that is how you actually manage your weaknesses. So even if you've not learned something on a project, if it's a technical project and you do not have the skill set, you should actually tell them, this is my weakness, but I'm willing to study and learn in order to deliver for your company. So when you talk with that confidence, they start believing in you, and that is the entire idea of an interview. To give the interviewer that confidence that, hey, I'm a nice person, I'm willing to learn, I'm willing to grow with your organization, give me a chance. Yeah, so that is what it is all about at the end of the day, being confident. Your next question is, my background is of non-tech. How can I get into the tech field? That's a very vague question. You have to give me a little more specs as to what technical are you talking about. Are you talking about your technical skills? If it is a technical skill, then you have to up it. You have to up and ensure that your skills are being learned and you're because technical people actually study, right? You cannot compare a B.Tech guy or a BSc IT guy with a BCom. There's obviously 3 years of education that has gone into his studies. So you cannot do a comparison. So be very clear on what are you talking about technically, and then maybe give me throw in the question. I'll be able to give you a better answer on that front. I'm searching for new opportunities. Can you please guide me so that I can stay motivated and active during my job hunt? Prachi, you could actually reach out to me on LinkedIn, and I could maybe help you find a couple of jobs and help you on that front, if that's okay. So you can reach out on my ID and we can take it up from there, because like this, I don't know how I'll be able to help you. So thank you so much, guys. I think it was really nice going live and helping all. If there's any way that I could, if there's a way that you would want to reach out to me, you could reach out on my LinkedIn ID. It's Resham Tharani, English for India. So thank you so much and have a great day on this. Bye bye.